ICFilm. I'm Charlie.
I'm Imran.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the recent news in the world of film. So we're going to start with the biggest and my favourite news headline of the past week or so. Is we've now got some concept art from Avengers: Age of Ultron, and it looks pretty damn good, truth be told.
Yeah, it looks really good. The only problem was that I saw the images before I saw the Captain America mid-credit scene, so it kind of spoiled that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we've also been given some photos from on set while they've been shooting. I think it's been in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Which gave another good impression of what they're going to be like.
Talk about the Captain America pre-post whatever credit scene, the first one. It didn't really ruin a lot, to be honest, because obviously in the concept art, which we'll show you in a second, they're in costume.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at their costumes. Whereas here they were kind of in, spoiler alert, prison type outfits.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you obviously got to see Scarlet Witch using her powers, which is really, really, really cool.
But the costumes are a drastic change to the original source.
Yeah, so if we go on to the images, right. So, first off, we've got Quicksilver. So it's like a little action shot. You got him running at high speed.
He's got the tight lycra costume.
Yeah, as you could say, it's like first impressions of the costume, drastically different to Fox's counterpart, obviously with the literal Quicksilver.
Yeah.
The terrible, terrible tinfoil costume, which looks dreadful. Let's hope it looks better in action. I mean, even the Empire front cover was really
awful. Yeah.
Awful.
We spoke about it.
But obviously, we haven't seen, even with the post-credit scene in Captain America, we haven't seen Aaron Taylor-Johnson in the costume. But this costume looks really cool, actually.
Yeah,
I really like it. Obviously, it's very rare that adaptations stick strictly to the comic book look.
And when they do, it tends to fail most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's good when we move on to Scarlet Witch in a second. It worked well with that. And as well with Quicksilver, obviously he's got his silver hair spiked up on either side. You've got the green costume with the running silver lightning sparks down it. It's a pretty cool costume, but it wouldn't have worked.
No.
This looks like a civilian type costume, to be honest. Just looks like standard clothing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting whether he maybe the Avengers team have given it to him, or he's made it himself, or something like that. It'll be interesting to see where it's come from.
See, before, when I obviously saw this before Captain America, or would have spoiled it again, would have said that maybe it's like a shield type outfit. So obviously you had Black Widow's got her signature costume, which is obviously easy to pull from the comic book, but they obviously drastically changed Hawkeye. It was more of a military spy type thing.
Yeah, there wasn't the purple mask that he normally wears.
Yeah. So and it was more like the slim outfit, and I thought maybe that's the route they're going, but obviously now it's totally wrong.
Shall we look at the Scarlet Witch?
Yeah, we'll move on to Scarlet Witch. So there we've got Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. Again, her costume's completely
very different. Very different.
And they did talk about it before they released this imagery. I think it was Whedon and Olsen talked about what they were going to do with the headpiece. Because obviously they didn't do it with... Thor has a helmet as well.
And he kind of gets rid of it after the...
Yeah, you had it in the origin film, so he wore it briefly in the throne room. And I remember reading an interview and they said that one of the main reasons behind not using it was because when he was moving, it was slipping or it was whacking him. When he wore it, it looked pretty rubbish. And to be honest, they look good in the comics, but on proper people wearing like an Asgardian helmet or the red headpiece.
Because Loki's got those horns, hasn't he?
Yeah, it worked with Tom Hiddleston, to be fair.
It kind of gave him more of a sinister
edge. It
did,
that worked, but then you look on the other side, and obviously Hawkeye, if he'd had his signature mask,
that wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked. So obviously here, again, with Quicksilver, she's in civilian type clothing. It's a skirt and a top. She looks pretty cool. She looks really cool.
It's a very kind of grungy, almost like Moshe look, if you like, with the gloves and kind of the makeup she's wearing.
And her eyes.
Yeah, very intense.
That's quite cool. It's very Storm-esque, like from X-Men, when she uses her.
When she's focusing on her powers,
Scarlet Witch is probably, out of all, I'd probably say Loki was the weirdest costume. Scarlet Witch is definitely the hardest costume to adapt, and I'm confident they've done a really good job.
Yeah.
Move on to the next image. So here we have Black Widow and Hulk back to back, looking up at an unknown threat, and there seems to be a building collapsing around them. This is very reminiscent of the character rotating shot in the first Avengers film when you got the team together. Obviously a very different interaction between Black Widow and Hulk from the first film, where Black Widow was kind of terrified.
He seems to be more in control of his powers now.
Yeah. So this it doesn't really reveal a lot, to be honest.
No, we can't really talk much about this one.
But you say that it seems that Bruce is more in control of his powers, which seems contradictory when we move on to this last image, which shows us the live action debut of the Hulkbuster Iron Man armour.
Yeah.
So it's Hulk and Iron Man going toe to toe. What scenario would lead
to the Hulk?
To that.
Yeah.
To the Hulkbuster armour and them going toe to toe. I'm happy that we're getting Hulkbuster armour, and that looks really, really cool. The armour looks really cool. But there's two things not wrong with this image, but in terms of continuity, there are two things wrong with this image. First of all, Hulk fighting Iron Man. Like I said, because obviously by the end of it,
he saved him when he came flying down from the space. He saved him.
But when Bruce came into the team, to find the team, and he's like, "Oh, this, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry," and he can control his shifting into the Hulk. And obviously he talks quite a bit as well, and you had the impression he's in control of his powers. So why is he now fighting Iron Man?
Out of all the members of the Avengers as well, them two had the closest bond as well.
Yeah, especially with Bruce.
End of Iron Man 3 as well, he popped up in the end credits scene.
Yeah.
Giving him advice.
And obviously Tony invited Bruce along to his Stark Tower to use his equipment and whatnot.
So something drastic must happen.
I think maybe, I don't know, maybe Iron Man's developing this armour and he asks Bruce to test the strength of it out. Because obviously we've seen a big Iron Man armour in Iron Man 3. Which is cool, but this is even better. So maybe he's testing that, but it's obviously the Hulkbuster armour, so surely Bruce would know the meaning behind why he's developed this, so why would he then... Or maybe he finds it. Maybe he finds the armour, maybe he'd been, Tony been working with General Ross, but then he decommissioned the armour and Bruce finds it and it leads to this, but then Iron Man blew up all his suits, which leads me to the second thing that's wrong with this image. Iron Man's not Iron Man. Tony gave up being Iron Man.
Yeah.
I know it ends with the great line saying, "You could take away my fancy toys," one thing that says saying, "I am Iron Man."
That killer line.
That killer line, brilliant line. So obviously he's still Iron Man, but the story of Iron Man 3 gave the impression he was giving up being Iron Man. He was done. Because obviously he had the spectacular firework display, and yet here he's in the Hulkbuster armour. He's in his armour again.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. So that's I'm not saying it's wrong. It looks pretty darn cool, but
we just want answers basically.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what's happening here.
Should we move on to the next big?
We'll move away from the Avengers and we'll go on to the second news story.
Yeah. So arguably the other big superhero film that's on the horizon is Batman vs Superman, the sequel to Man of Steel. And
it's effectively a new Batman film, let's face it.
Yeah, pretty much. And this news article is regarding Batman, so I'm sure you're all aware that it's Ben Affleck who'll be playing Batman. Batfleck. But he wasn't the first choice. The first choice was actually Josh Brolin, and Josh Brolin has now spoken out about it and said that basically, I've got the article here, him and Zack Snyder, the director, they disagreed on the role. So this is what he said. He said, "Me and Zack had a conversation about it, and there were several reasons why I said it wasn't the best idea for me on both sides. I had my idea and Zack had his idea. To me, it's not about being cool and all that stuff. Looking back over your shoulder and saying that one line everybody's going to remember. Maybe I could have done it, but I only do roles that aren't necessarily all that cool. All my stuff is a little bit off kilter." So, and maybe he just didn't want such a massive role at this point in his career.
Well, you talk about his career, obviously he's been in acting for a while, but he's become a bigger name
recently, in
recent years. I don't know, arguably around Men in Black 3. Even before that, but that was a big role for him.
He did No Country for Old Men before that.
But with Men in Black, he was effectively stepping into the shoes of
Tommy Lee Jones.
So, and then he did Gangster Squad, and
he's
been attached.
Old Boy as well recently.
And he was especially with the role they were looking for when they revealed the details of what they wanted of Batman.
He would have been perfect.
He was a front runner, and
Yeah.
everyone was saying it's going to be Josh Brolin. It's going to be Josh Brolin, and I wanted Josh Brolin. I'm among those that really do not like the casting of Ben Affleck.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because then he was asked about the Ben Affleck casting, and he said, this is what he said: "People were so disrespectful. How can you blame an actor for acting? I understand you're a fan, but people forget that actors are human. When you're sitting in front of a computer, it's easy to say, 'I wish you would die.'" So he's obviously defending the casting.
Yeah, I think it's mutual respect, I suppose, because
Mm.
he's tied to the role, and it wasn't that he was overlooked. So he's
Yeah.
got no reason to be bitter about it. Ben Affleck. There's obviously loads of fans have different reasons for the being against the casting. He's had a big career. He's had a long career. He's done brilliant films. He's done good films. He's done bad films. He's done terrible films.
Good, bad, the ugly, yeah.
Yeah. So like obviously when he do big roles, everyone's like, oh, he's so much better now. He does it, and then you'll go and do another bad film. But I think the biggest reason behind the uproar, was Daredevil.
Yeah.
So he's obviously played a superhero before, so people will look to that because it's the nature of the role.
Yeah.
And Daredevil was not a good film. It was a terrible film. And so, I'm not saying Ben Affleck's bad in the role, he wasn't brilliant, but the nature of the film being bad, it then gives him the bad perception and going, is that he was against it.
Yeah.
And still to watch it, a lot of people, especially the fans, say the director's cut of Daredevil's a lot better than the actual film.
I've heard that too, yeah.
So this takes, I think it take 10-20 minutes out and put 30-40 minutes back in, and it's a different film. Still need to watch that. It might be worth a look. But obviously that's sort of a big reason behind the controversy of the casting.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your opinion on the casting? Because I've obviously said I'm against it.
I'm gonna reserve judgment until I've seen
Yeah.
an image of him in the costume, which I still haven't got, or a teaser trailer or something.
That's Photoshop.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I say I'm against it. Like you, I don't want to judge. I'll swear you. The reason I'm against it is because admittedly, I enjoyed Man of Steel. I'm a big fan of Superman, and I enjoyed Man of Steel.
Yeah.
So I wanted a Man of Steel sequel, because obviously I've written an article about this for Quench, which is on the website, talking about how it's being rushed, and how Marvel took their time. Obviously, had Phase 1, several films, Avengers. Warner Brothers are just trying to force it now. Okay, Man of Steel, start of our universe. That's our Iron Man. Let's go straight into Justice League. And there's talks of throwing in Nightwing and Cyborg and Flash and who
Wonder Woman, yeah.
God, and obviously Wonder Woman has been cast in it, so God knows who else. And when they said Batman vs Superman, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
You want to see more of the Superman.
Yeah, you want to see more of Superman because he's just become Superman.
Yeah.
So you want to see him go beyond that, and then if you Man of Steel 3 turn that to Batman vs Superman, fine with that, absolutely fine with that. Could have done that and I would have been happy as Larry.
Yeah.
It's the fact they put Batman in here and they're thinking, and I'm just thinking, why? Why have you done this? Because now it doesn't feel like when you said, for the sequel of Man of Steel, and I say supposedly, it doesn't feel like it to me. Because you've got Batman and the on-screen, you got the on-screen Wonder Woman. I don't know. It's irritating and it annoys me.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'm not against the casting of Ben Affleck. I'm in the casting of Batman in the film.
I think we should move on before you get too upset about this.
So we'll move on to. I wouldn't say it's a big news story. It's it's obviously a big news story. That's why we'll talk about it. But
yeah, it's an interesting piece of news story. Yeah.
It's big for what it is. It's not like an announcement about a film. Basically, Frozen, obviously Disney's latest animated film, has just grossed over $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah, I've got the exact figure here. It stands now at, currently at the moment, it'll still be increasing over the next few weeks. It's 1.072 billion, which places it number 10 in the all-time list. Yeah,
so I was going to say, $1 billion for an animated film, it's phenomenal. Despicable Me 2 had such a big marketing campaign behind it so well, and it was just under $1 billion, and then obviously Frozen's
Well, yeah, that's the most interesting thing. Apart from Avatar and Titanic, Frozen is the only original project in the whole of the top 10. That's impressive. To have no fan base and then to generate that amount of appeal.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I was gonna say, like, I was just about to say, Avengers, but obviously you had the stuff
before it,
leading up to it. But it's just obviously it's now also overtaken Toy Story 3 as the most successful animated film of all time. Before that, it took the spot of the most successful original animated film, because before that it was Finding Nemo, and it's past that because obviously Toy Story 3 is the third in the trilogy. So that's big news, and to be in the top 10 like highest grossing films of all time, it's incredible.
And it can keep on rising because it's the next one, the number 9 spot, is currently held by The Dark Knight Rises, which holds only 10 million more. So figuratively speaking, it could easily overtake that.
That didn't make the money because of the quality of the film. That made the money because of The Dark Knight.
Yeah, obviously.
We could get into that argument. I think it was a poor ending to the trilogy.
Let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that. Let's get away from the discussion of top grossing films. So I've got a nice little news story here, which feeds in nicely off my comment about Despicable Me 2.
Yeah.
So obviously a big part of the marketing campaign was the Minions themselves.
They are the selling point.
They were the selling point behind the film, and obviously they've got more screen time and there's merchandise everywhere. So, and they've now confirmed it's going to be Despicable Me 3, but before that it's going to be the Minions spin-off origin film. Well, that's the news. It's been confirmed that the Minions is going to be an origin film, and obviously CinemaCon's
just happened.
So.
They showed a clip there.
They showed a clip there, so this news article basically tells us what a film is. So it says that the sizzle reel showed the Minions beginning as creatures on the bottom of the sea, and they said that the animation style is reminiscent of the Yellow Submarine, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
So they begin as creatures at the bottom of the sea in prehistoric times as they literally latch onto increasingly nasty predators in this natural quest to serve only the very worst masters. We then see the Minions throughout human history inadvertently causing mayhem, whether it's building the pyramids of Egypt, serving a Genghis Khan-style warlord, or accidentally destroying their Dracula-like master on his 347th birthday. Soon they end up masterless and thus without purpose. They're simply existing. In order to save their kind and find a new evil master to serve, 3 Minions, Kevin, Stuart and Bob, venture out into the world, an epic quest that leads them to the contemporary New York City.
That sounds awesome.
It sounds so cool, because obviously it was called the Minions, so we knew it was going to be solely based on the Minions, but we didn't have anything more than that. So now we've obviously been given the synopsis, but obviously people have seen the opening. I assume what's the opening to the film. So not only have we just got the synopsis of the film, we've also effectively been given the origin of these characters.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting actually, because it's reminiscent of our evolution as humans. So obviously, natural selection and evolution evolved from sea creatures. So effectively, we get the nature of these characters. They literally piggybacked on humanity to survive, because it says they literally latched onto these sea creatures. But so it's interesting to see that's how they survive. But obviously now we've been told that it's ancient.
They're kind of immortal, aren't they?
They're effectively immortal, which we didn't know before.
I always assumed that they were just a creation of Gru, one of the ones.
Yeah, see, I had a really weird theory. I thought they obviously love bananas. There's even that.
Banana.
Yeah, the mini short, and then end with Apple. But I thought they were Gru created them from a mutated strain of a banana, which is a really weird theory.
Yeah, it would make them cannibals.
Yeah, they're cannibals. They eat themselves. They'd be eating themselves, not eating one another.
But what I'm really interested about this film is looking at the character arc of the Minions, because you can see they're inherently caring creatures.
Yeah.
They look after the children. They're loving towards Gru. So why do they keep latching on to these villain type characters?
You think they're called minions.
Yeah.
The definition of the word minion has evil connotation.
Henchmen, yeah.
And you can see it from the start of the first film to at the end of the second, how they are. They are caring, they are nurturing, they love playing with the kids, they want to be kids, they just want to play.
Yeah.
But they also enjoy being evil. They also enjoy going on these evil schemes. So So
That's quite complex for a child's film
yeah,
as well.
it is, isn't it? Actually? It's really cool. But I don't know. Because obviously that's the opening reel of the film. It's probably got the opening 10 minutes. So then obviously it's going to go into contemporary time and go through with the story there. I would have preferred maybe have that opening scene, but seeing more of this Genghis Khan style warlord and this Dracula
so cool,
character, and seeing minions in like history, in, like different time periods in our recorded history they know about.
Because we've seen enough of them now in present time, if you like.
But even then, even with Dracula, it's like a supernatural element, and that would have been seeing how they play with vampires.
Yeah, because I wasn't a massive fan of the second film. I preferred the original a lot more.
That's it, I'm the other way around. I prefer the second one solely because there was more screen time for the minions, which is good for the spin-off.
Yeah, I just don't want to see Gru as kind of a subplot. I wanted to focus solely on the minions.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. The only one thing I don't like about that announcement is that they say it was Kevin Stewart and Bob.
Who's Bob?
Who's Bob? Like, okay, the minions practically look the same, but when you watch a film, you do get to learn the differences between some of the minions.
Subtle.
So you know who Stewart is, you know who Kevin is, because Kevin's one of the ones that gets turned into the purple.
Yeah.
Dave is the single biggest minion in this franchise.
Where's Dave?
He's the most named, okay? He's the most... Where is he? Where's Dave? It's Dave and Stewart is the biggest ones.
Maybe this will be the origin of
Where's Dave? The origin of Dave, yeah.
He
just came along, the origin of Dave.
It's semicolon. The origin of Dave.
No. Finding Dave. Let's have that. Just keep shooting, So yeah, seriously, where's Dave? I want to know where Dave is. Dave's my favourite minion.
He's great.
But I don't know. I'm really excited for this film. I think it'll be brilliant. I think this will gross over $1 billion, easy. They wouldn't even have to market it, to be honest.
They could do like a couple of teaser trailers, and that would be enough to watch out.
Just whack the poster up coming out this weekend. Bam, $1 billion. Because it's crazy. All the marketing behind Despicable Me 2 was purely Minions.
Yeah.
And that's why they've gone off for this Minion spin-off. Because they're the USP of the film, the unique selling point. Without them, it wouldn't have been interesting, to be honest.
True.
Let's be honest. I wouldn't go and watch it without the Minions.
No.
But they're just so funny and cute, and let's be honest, we all want a real life Minion. I know I do. Do you?
Yeah, why not? maybe a bit of an effort to look after, but
they look after themselves. They just like throw ice cream parties, don't they? Or they just fight over scraps of food or fruit. But I'm excited for this film. I could talk on and on and on, but I think we should probably wrap the episode up there. So that was the big news in the world of film. Thank you again for watching. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments. If you've got any suggestions for future episodes, we're going to be using one of those suggestions in the next episode, so keep your eye out for that. But if there's a particular question or a topic of conversation you want to see in this show, and you send it into the email that's on the bottom of the screen, and you never know, you might see us answer yours. Or alternatively, you can tweet either of us.
Yeah.
But until the next time, thank you for watching.
Cheers.
Pepper. Pepper?